It was only a recess, a hard reset. Raise the blade, the realest. Even when them have a voice, we still leave them speechless. Raise the blade. We said we not follow trends. Me got my own ends, make my own ends. Me no need them assistance, start my own Benjamins. Trendy, only for style money plenty.
Glories to the Most High, people. Blessed love. Welcome back to BBK Sports. And welcome to the second half of match day 6. Analysis of second half of match day 6, aka the Manchester United collapse. Now it's past 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. I sent the link out to all the Manchester United fans before 5:30, right around 5:30, right before 5:30, around there. Did you hear that? Crickets. See, yesterday, when James Justin scored a worldie, the ball didn't even hit the net yet. It was still pinging off the post. Bing! My phone was ringing. Who was calling? You want to take a wild guess? Man United fans. Last week, when we were at the Etihad, when Haaland poked that ball past Raya, Haaland is still running. The ball ain't hit the net yet. My phone is ringing. Who else? Man United fans calling to talk ish, to banter. You hear that? Didn't hear it either. Crickets. Now, I figured this was going to happen anyway, right? But I'm just pointing it out. All the Manchester United fans. Ghost right now. The only one that gets an excuse is Max. Because Max is in Georgia. East Coast, hurricane, flood, and emergency. And even he checked in today and took his beating, took his punches like a real G. So big up to Max, yeah? The rest of them, can't hear from him. The Kevin Whiteleys of the world. The Richies, the Ayo, can't hear from them. This is what they do. But that's the thing, though. We know the game. We know football. We know EPL. So we can talk the game without them. They have the link, so they'll pop up here whenever. And if they do, we'll deal with them then. But until then, we can still discuss the game, right? Manchester United might be the most dysfunctional club in all of England, particularly in the Premier League of all 20 teams, but in all the tiers, right? Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two, you name it. It's complete dysfunction. Manchester United have scored 5 goals in 6 games. Cole Palmer scored 4 by himself yesterday in one half. Manchester United, 5 goals in 6 Premier League matches. Wolverhampton Wanderers sit bottom of the Premier League with 1 point, winless. I've scored 6. 5 goals, 6 games. This is a side that signed a striker. This is a side that signed an £85 million winger on the bench, didn't even play today. It's the manager signing. Oyland, Xerxes, Ugarte. We'll get to him in a minute. Manchester United finished last season with 57 goals scored, 58 goals against. Negative goal difference. They owe the Premier League goals. They're in the deficit. These men finished bottom of their Champions League group on a negative goal difference as well. And as we sit here today on the 28th of September, 29th? Today the 29th, isn't it? Yep, the 29th of September. They're on a negative 3 goal difference. So these men still owe the Premier League goals. Dysfunction. Complete dysfunction. Only this United side could make Tottenham turn up and look like prime Barcelona. This is a Tottenham side without their best player in Heung-min Son. Had he played today, this could have been a record. The hell with losing 7-0 at Anfield. This could have been bad. Luckily for them, you got Timo Werner playing left wing for Tottenham. That boy couldn't hit a barn door. Boy couldn't hit anything. Twice, one-on-one with the keeper. Can't get past him. Son puts at least one of those chances away. These men have Romero doing bicycle kick in their box. James Maddison tried to chip the keeper. That's 5 goals right there. 6 clear-cut chances. Brennan Johnson hit the post. This is a Brennan Johnson that had to deactivate his social media a couple of weeks ago because Tottenham fans are onto him so much for playing so badly. But today, Brennandinho, man, looks like prime Barcelona at Old Trafford. 3-0 at Old Trafford, Tottenham. 3-0 at Old Trafford, Liverpool. That's 3 losses already. It's peak. Ten Hag again, yeah. How many more chances? I lost count. That man are bringing on a 17-year-old to play against Manchester United. They were so comfortable. This was a hell of a. This is probably the most entertaining game for me to watch as an Arsenal fan, is to see United and Tottenham play. Because either way, I'm gonna be happy. A draw, fine. They both stay where they are. A win either way is usually lopsided. I remember Tottenham went there a couple of years ago during COVID, slapped them 6-1. Another red card incident when Martial. It wasn't a red card, to be fair. I think it was like Lamella that flopped after Tony got in his face, right? But this fixture always brings me joy for that reason. One of them will be mudded. Fortunately for my dear friends, most of them are United fans. Today was you. Now, Bruno Fernandes, as a player, when he's on the pitch, I swear he has the most punchable face. I've been wanting to punch that dude. Not condoning violence, by the way. But that was not a red. I'm not here to defend Manchester United players, but that's not a red. In any case, none whatsoever. That's not a red. I will defend him on that. Here's my general guideline for red cards or red cards incidences. Like a hard 50-50 tackle is no foul. It's 50-50, shoulder to shoulder. Big boy ball. If the foul is harsh, it's a foul. If the tackle is harsh, it's a foul. If it's reckless, it's a yellow. It's a caution. If it's violent, then it's red. There was no violence in that tackle. It looks like he even slipped. If you watched, I watched the Madrid derby today. Atletico Real. Spicy game. Right? It got so spicy they had to delay the game because they were throwing stuff on the pitch. And even that game of high intensity, the referee was flawless. The La Liga referee. Don't know his name. Now, there was a red card incident in that game. Clear red card. Go look at that. I think it's in the 90th plus 8 minutes. You have time to go look at that. Now, that's a red. That's a violent tackle. No incidents. I watched the Tottenham Man United game today, and I know Chris Kavanaugh's name because it was said so much during the commentary because he was poor. That was not a red. So for the second week in a row, the second consecutive week, controversy, Premier League. It continues to happen. The biggest game of the weekend last week, Trossard. Red card. This week, these are first half incidents, by the way. Red card. There were so many tackles that went into that was flying in the Madrid derby. The ref controlled the game. The game was never out of control. And that game was at a higher level than this one. This was one-way traffic. The Manchester United and Tottenham game was one-way traffic with 11v11. And to be fair, Manchester United actually looked better once Bruno went off. So on the previous stream, Richie and Leo was talking about Bruno versus Madison. We can kill that debate. Because Bruno was absolute dog shit. He was poor. He was so poor. But this is not a defense of United's poor performance due to the refs. But we want to see 11v11. Because essentially 11v11, Tottenham probably score more goals. Because United would try to get back into the game, right? Take more risk, push more up the pitch. And I think Tottenham would have took them to the sword. But for the second consecutive week, Premier League referees make themselves the focal point of what is supposed to be about the players. Right? That was poor. Now, this week coming up, you will see Champions League, Europa League, high-level games, high-level players, high-profile games, high-profile players. I guarantee you there won't be any controversy with refs in the Champions League. I'm convinced this is a EPL thing. These referees they're just not up to the level that they need to be. But I don't know, the English FA, the media, are so hell-bent on just having English referees. If you're the best league in the world, with the best players in the world, and the players come from all over, I don't think I can make an argument that you should get the best refs, regardless of where they're from. The only requirement should be they speak some form of English, and most of them do. Right? Because when I lived in Europe, when I lived in Germany, the running joke towards Americans were the Germans, wherever you went in Europe, the Europeans would say, "How do you tell an American?" And you would say, "How?" They would say they only speak one language. Because most people in Europe speak. It's not unusual for people in Europe to speak 4 or 5 languages. That's just how it is, right? So that should be the only requirement to get the best referees, because the EPL continues to brand themselves saying they're the best league in the world, right? If you're the best league and make the most money, the best players, you need the best referees to maintain that standard, in my humble opinion. Now, Tottenham, Manchester United. I mentioned Ugarte earlier. I don't know, man. I don't know about that guy. I watched him closely for 3 games now. Now, can anyone seriously tell me that he is an upgrade on Amrabat, Sabitzer, McTominay, Fred, or that Hannibal kid they had last year? Serious question. Is he an upgrade? He's having a hard time adjusting to the Prem. Like, he was piss poor today, man. And that wasn't even Tottenham's best midfield. Tottenham's best midfield, I believe, is Madison, Bissouma, Pepe Sarr. Today they started Bentoncourt and I don't know who else was in the middle today. Bentoncourt, Madison, and Kulusevski. Yeah, Kula was cooking, by the way. So yeah, fair play to Kulusevski. He played in the attacking 8, so to speak. But that midfield with Kobe, Ugarte, this is meant to be the future of Manchester United midfield. He's 23 years old and Kobe is 18 or 19. So they're young players, right? They're going to play together for a while. Casemiro would have been a better shot in there today. But there's nothing that he has done in the past 3 games. I see nothing there. Like, is this the same player that played for PSG? I'm hearing rumors now that he was benched by Enrique like a couple times for poor performances. Don't know. Don't watch Liga that much, so wouldn't know. But I do know that my eyes tell me he's not an upgrade on McTominay. I think McTominay would have done well in that midfield today. You know what I mean? Rashford. I think it's time for him to go. It's time for him to leave Manchester United. It's just not happening. And speaking of PSG, I think he would cook there. And they just sold. Oh, not sold, but they lost Mbappe on a free to Madrid. They need a star. And he's on big money. PSG, probably the only club that can afford his wages given his level of performance over the past year and a half. Right? So, don't know what happened there, but complete domination from Tottenham Hotspur over Manchester United. This is, if you're a United fan, this is inexcusable. I would love to hear the excuses, or why do you think that you couldn't beat Tottenham at home without their best player? Poor. I don't see Manchester United finishing in the top 6. Really don't. Matter of fact, I'll take it a step further. I don't see Manchester United beating anybody in the top 6. The traditional top 6 clubs. Manchester City going to have a field day with these men. And I know the whole derby form goes out the window. Bro. No. Liverpool turned Old Trafford into a training session. And then we're doing rondos. Playing with them. It's an embarrassment at this point. I don't see him beating Arsenal. I definitely don't see him beating City. They got to go to Villa Park next week, so this might come back to make me look stupid. Or it will validate what I'm saying. They have to go to Tottenham Hotspur now. I think Chelsea going to pipe them. I don't see him beating Chelsea. So, what teams in the traditional top 6 can this United team honestly beat? Newcastle might beat them. Kevin said, and I agree with him, by the way, when he said three losses are the most you can have in this title race, competing with Manchester City. Manchester United have already lost 3 games. Now, whether you believed or picked them to be in a title race when the season began is irrelevant. Now it's, okay, the season's gone. Now they have to focus on the cups. Right? And if history over the past 2 years told us anything, they were a very good cup team. Now, which cup? Like I said a couple of weeks ago in my week-to-week show, I wouldn't be surprised. I think after they lost to Liverpool, I said these men are gonna have another haram season and probably win the Europa, another cup. And then Ten Hag will definitely keep his job because that would be 3 consecutive seasons, 3 consecutive trophies, and the trophies get bigger, right? EFL, FA Cup, Europa gets them in the Champions League. Yeah, that's the only way they're getting in the Champions League. If they win the Europa, because they're not finishing top 4 or 5. And I say 5 because, the new format. If the current English teams in Europe perform well, the English coefficient increases and the EPL will get 5 slots instead of 4, the traditional 4. That's why this year the Serie A got 5 teams, because I think the Bundesliga got 5 teams as well, because they performed well when Dortmund got to the Champions League final. Atalanta won the Europa. So English and German and Italian teams performed well enough to get them a 5th spot. So unless the EPL get 5 spots, and even if the EPL get 5 spots, I don't think United can finish top 5. Because you can't in good conscience tell me that this team will finish above City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Villa, Chelsea. So that's 5 teams already. So at best, they finish 6th. Will they finish above Spurs? So if not, that's 6 teams. They're at 7th. They finished 8th last year. So is that good enough for Manchester United to keep Ten Hag in the job? Whether they win another domestic cup or not. The league is a measuring stick, right? It's the best test you can use to see where your football club is, because your cup run is the luck of the draw. 38 games measures your consistency over a given period of time, right? So it's more of a barometer where you are in the league based on your consistency over a given period of time. Because I think I've seen Hull win the FA Cup and got relegated. So the cups, it's not a good barometer of where your football club is, right? But that was probably the worst Manchester United performance I've seen. Definitely in the Ten Hag era at home. At least the 7-0 was at Anfield. And the 3-0 to Liverpool. Liverpool is a superior team. All right? Let's make no mistake about it. Liverpool are better than Manchester United. Liverpool easily has 3 world-class players in their team. Manchester United are playing their ballers world-class money, world-class wages. They pay world-class players transfer fees, but they're not getting world-class player performance. There are not any world-class teams and world-class players in this United side. Liverpool has Salah. They have Van Dijk. They have Alisson. Some say Trent. I don't say Trent, but I'm not going to argue anyone who say Trent's a world-class player. He's close enough for me to be like, okay. Because his delivery going forward is special to say the least. But at the end of the day, you're a right back, and a right back is a defender, right? So if you're having a debate with someone and an argument about a player that's supposed to do this, but your entire argument is based on the complete opposite of what they do, right? Because he's not a world-class defender, but you line up as a right back, which is a defensive spot. Like his entire attribute is going forward, creating chances, whipping crosses in, which he's very, very good at. World-class delivery, hands down. Got to admit that. But so 4. If I had to concede that he is world-class, Liverpool has 4 world-class players. Not saying that excused the 3-0 for Manchester United performance, but you can understand, right? Liverpool is at a different level. So you can understand them turning up to Old Trafford and winning. Plus, there's a bigger rivalry there. It's only Tottenham. Arsenal went to Tottenham with no Declan Rice, no Odegaard, and beat them. That man didn't get a sniff at the Arsenal goal. But 2 minutes in, they scored today in the first half. And 1 minute in the second half, they scored again. Take a sip of my drink and say that one more time. Two minutes in the game, they concede. And you go in at halftime at 1-0. Okay, you're still in the game. You're down a man, but you're still in the game. And then the 46th, 47th minute, you concede. Now, the deflectors will say, oh, Arsenal conceded in the 47th minute yesterday against Leicester. Fair. That's a fair challenge. But that's from a set piece. Deflection. Anything can happen off of a set piece. That's why they're so dangerous. This wasn't off of a set piece. Tottenham got the ball, went right down the right side, and scored. Less than 2 minutes in the second half. After they should have, and let's be honest, they should have been up 4-0. 4-1 at the least. Garnacho hit the post. Give him credit for that. That was a clean hit. That would have been a worthy candidate for goal of the season. But clearly they weren't switched on, because the first goal in the first half, when Van de Ven picks up the ball, run past everyone. Now, if you watched the previous stream, we talked about how fast Van de Ven is. We know he's fast as fans. The coaches know he's fast. Clearly, the Manchester United players have to know that he's fast. The man picked up the ball and ran 75 yards unchecked, unchallenged. Players are clearly not switched on. For a center back to pick up the ball and run 75 yards, and Dalot completely gave up on the play. If you go back and watch the goal, he holds his hand up right as Brennan Johnson is tapping in the goal. Because Brennan Johnson is on the halfway line when Van de Ven started to run. Now, that's good coaching on the Tottenham side. They know what Van de Ven is capable of. But the Tottenham players were switched on. The United players were switched off. And that's what happens. Poor performance. Absolutely dog shit performance for Manchester United. Yesterday's show, I already discussed Liverpool being top of the league going into next week. At the very minimum, we'll call them league leaders, give them that respect because they are a good team. You know, we talked about Arsenal leaving it late, the cardiac Gooners to finish off and newly promoted Leicester side. The game shouldn't have been that close. The Chelsea's first half dominance over Brighton. Can't say it's only Brighton. Brighton's a good team, a very good team. That's been rated of their players over the past 2-3 years. And still, they came to the Emirates and took a point, albeit 10 men. Still not an excuse. We still created the best 2 chances of that game. That fell to Saka, that fell to Havertz, and we didn't finish our dinner. And I'm on record saying that the red card is not why we drop points in that game. Brighton is a very good team. So credit to Chelsea for putting them to the sword and getting 3 points. Cole Palmer is Cole Palmer. You know, this is like, it kind of reminds me of when Chelsea got rid of De Bruyne, when City gets rid of Palmer and ended up regretting. The only difference is when Chelsea sold Kevin De Bruyne, they sold him to a German club. I think he was Wolfsburg. They didn't sell him to a rival. And, you know, he's found a home, and he's guys performing at a high level. Like the other night when Leo came on the show, we were talking about Bruno being overrated, and Richie forced he and I to list the number 10s that we would take over Bruno. And he better not ever bring that argument up again after Bruno's performance over the past couple of weeks, especially today, even though that wasn't a red card, but still, he hasn't been performing. So the list went something like KDB, Palmer was on the list, Madison, Odegaard, and I think who else was on there? I'm not sure if Morgan Gibbs-White's name was mentioned or not, but Bruno is nowhere near the levels that he needs to be considered a top attacking 10 in this Premier League. He's just not. Like Cole Palmer is, yeah, Foden. Foden was the other number 10. And please, 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 people, let's kill the whole Saka and Palmer thing. Who played right wing for Chelsea yesterday? Was it Palmer or was it Madueke? All right. It was Madueke. Madueke plays right wing for Chelsea. Saka plays right wing for Arsenal. If anyone's being, you compare Saka to anyone in this Premier League, it's Mo Salah. So he's the second best right winger in the Premier League. Cole Palmer is not a right winger. But I do think it's funny that whenever a player is good or a player performs well, he's better than Saka. He's better than, when Foden, it was better than Saka. Foden doesn't play right wing. Bernardo Silva lined up there yesterday. Foden was on the bench, PFA Player of the Year. Came on, couldn't unlock a stubborn Newcastle defense. So he's a number 10. You don't get put out your position to a central midfielder if you're the best at that position. So it's Mo Salah, Bukayo Saka, right wingers. Then there's and there is distance there. It's not close, right? Salah's clear. And then there's Saka. Then everybody else. No matter what case, the Leon Baileys and the whoever. Not that many of them. But Cole Palmer is a 10. Can he play there? Yes. But he's a 10. He's an attacking, creative midfielder. He's not a winger. You know who's going to line up at right wing for Arsenal versus PSG versus Southampton next week. It's Bukayo Saka. You know who's going to line up at right wing for Liverpool. You know it's going to be Mo Salah. They're right wingers. And going forward, even Poch last year played Palmer in the 10. And Enzo Maresca, whatever he's doing at Chelsea, it's working. Right? He plays Palmer in the 10. The kid is cooking there. He's cold. You got to give him his props. I don't think he even played in that Man City game that they lost. Because he was still resting from the Euros. If I am correct, let me check my stat board just to make sure. Yep, he didn't play that game. That midfield was Lavia, Caicedo, and Enzo in the 10. So, no, he did play. Oh my God, he did play. He played him out wide. Yeah, stand corrected. Played him out of position, you lose 2-0. How about that? All right. How about that? But Chelsea still have to get their props. The only doubt on Chelsea right now is Manchester City was the only big test that they got so far this season, and they lost that game convincingly. For being honest, they lost that game. But it's the first game of the season. Anything can happen, right? It's the very first game of the season. The problem is it was at home. And you let Manchester City turn up at your home on the beginning end of the season and beat you, it's not good. Because if you have any aspirations of being a title contender, now you have to go to Man City at the business end of the season when you know these men turn into something else. They turn into something other than themselves. So luckily for Arsenal Football Club, we've gotten some of the most difficult fixtures out the way. Villa Park, not a very easy place to go. Manchester United will find that out next week. We've already gone to Tottenham, injury-ridden with suspensions. Won. Went to Man City, got a point, not the worst point in the world. It feels like 2 points dropped because we were up and conceded on essentially the last kick of the game. So it feels like 2 points dropped. But that's out the way. The only other fixture away that I'm terrified of, and not really terrified, is Anfield away. And the past 2 seasons, we haven't lost at Anfield. The season before last, we were up 2-0. They came back and equalized 2-2. Right? Last year, it was 1-1. So I believe the boys are resolute and we can go to Anfield and get a result. If we can go to City and perform like that, I think we can go to Anfield and do something. But back to Chelsea. Chelsea are doing well, except they haven't played anyone in the traditional top 6 as of yet. But Brighton was a good challenge because that was Brighton's first loss. Right? Brighton is playing well. Brighton has 9 points. Now, from the top of the league, Liverpool, all the way down to 5th, there's 2 points separating. Right? Villa's at 13 points. Liverpool at 15. Only 2 points separate first through 5th. You know, and the Unai Emery special today cost them 2 points because 15 points, they would have been second, just behind Man City. And it's not hate. It's not Arsenal hate towards Unai Emery. But man, you're taking off your best striker when the game is tied 2-2. And this is like a couple weeks in a row now I've seen Ollie Watkins get subbed out of a game. Right? And don't know why he does that. He made a couple of bozo substitutions like that when he was at Arsenal. And I think he essentially cost them 2 points today. But they're still right on everybody's ass. They're right up there. Right? Fulham is on 11 points. Newcastle is on 11 points. Tottenham are now in 10. So 2 games. Tottenham are on 10 points, 15 points, top of the league. 2-point swing can take you to the top of the league. So it's very tight at the top. You know, I said like 2 weeks ago in the Week to Week show that the first 5 games for Chelsea were great. Let's see how the next 5 go. And they're passing every test that's put in front of them. Let me look at Chelsea's fixtures coming up. Next week, they have Forest at home. I expect them to win that. Another Cole Palmer masterclass. But then on October 20th, they go to Anfield. Big test, right? So someone's going to drop points over the next 2 weeks, Liverpool or Chelsea. So we're coming out of that. We'll see how Chelsea does. And then they're at home to Newcastle. So, you know, we'll have a better idea of how they stack up against the big teams because, you know, big team, Manchester City, they took a L. Brighton, not a big team, but a good team nonetheless. They passed the test with flying colors. 4 goals in the first half, cruised the second half. You know, could have been 6. easily, right? It was one-way traffic whenever they got the ball, right? Brighton actually dominated possession. They had like almost 55, 56% possession, but every time Chelsea got the ball, they looked like they would score. So, Wavell says Chelsea is one of the teams that he's scared of. If they click, very safe take, right? I'm scared of Man City if they click. Any team that clicks, you have to be scared of. If Manchester United click, look out, because all the guys who were missing today would be right here talking shit. But while they're living in their banter era, we have to remind them that they're in a banter era and keep our foot on their necks, because they made no doubt about letting everybody know when they were going through a rough period. But we'll leave it there. I'll go catch up with the boys. If the Manchester United fans decide they want to hop in here later, we'll do another stream. But those are just my thoughts on match day 6. Rewinding a couple of the fixtures from yesterday, but today was Manchester United heavy. And, they ran away. But they're my boys. I ain't going to hate on them. I wouldn't talk as much shit as they talk. But if I took an L, I would be here to answer for my crimes against football. But anyway, thank you for your time, people. Whether you're listening to this in the gym, on your way to work, on your morning run, on the playback, don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already. Hit a like on the video to help push the algorithm. Thank you for your time. God bless.
Sharper, sharper, sharper than a razor. Raise the blade. Action. When the party